So today for Feedback Friday, with all this rain, we've got to ask the question, does Australia need a national disaster fund? Here's what you had to say. Marcus Fu says a national disaster fund would be a good idea. Perhaps if we gut the Canberra bureaucracy and other wasteful areas of spending, then of course we can fund it. Jesse Steinke says, how do we send aid to other countries if we cannot support our own? Eloise Campbell says we need a major rethink of the regulations governing planning and construction in flood zones and fire hazard areas. And Anthony Parker says build more dams. It's not very hard to work out. For more on this, I'm joined now from Sydney by 2GB radio host and Voice of the People here on Credland, Mr. Luke Grant. Really, I love Feedback Friday, Luke. Lots of common sense from punters all around the country. We are a country of drought. We're a country of flooding rains, but time and time again, aren't we? We're caught flat-footed in our response to these disasters. Do we need a national disaster fund that's really fit for purpose? What's your view?
Well, my take is we need to be as best prepared as we can be. That, of course, means that when we set out to do hazard reduction, I know weather sometimes gets in the way, we actually do hazard reduction. When we talk about at election time, let's build some dams for storage of water and, more importantly here, flood mitigation, let's actually go ahead and do it. So I just wonder if we're as best prepared as we might be. Now, if we are as best prepared as we might be, and as a result, we still have these awful events that affect and disrupt so many lives, then sure, maybe we look at something, because last time, as we all too well remember, Peter, around the bushfire crisis, all of us gave money to charities, and then we find out as a result of that, the admin fees, and they'll hold some of the money back for another disaster down the track. So the money you give that you expect to go to someone in need doesn't go there. I've heard Alan Jones talk about this for many years. No doubt you have as well. And he talks about getting former prime ministers together to oversee that. And that is, that's a noble proposition. But I think we've got to remember personal responsibility. We've got to remember, we do have the right, or we do have the ability to insure. But if poor decisions like allowing people to build where there's a 1 in 50 flood risk, or there's not the hazard reduction burning or the like going on, I think we've got to attack that first. And I'm not for another level of bureaucracy, I have to tell you.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of fair points there. I do know that in northern Queensland, in particular, North Queensland, far North Queensland, insurance is a real issue. I know that's a problem, and it's beyond homes. We've also got issues with, government infrastructure, people's infrastructure being washed away, as we see with those floods. I guess what gets me every time is, and we've just come out of those horrible droughts in Western New South Wales and Queensland. Here we are having all of this water, which we would have absolutely desperately needed only a couple of years ago, flow out to sea, and nothing's being captured because our dams are full. And we haven't built any new dams of substance for the past 30 years. If the coalition in Canberra, if I was sitting there now and I was mired in all of this constant sex dramas coming out of Canberra, I would be saying to anyone that would listen, we've got to get on the front foot. We need something out here, something seriously monumental, and drought and dams and floods are something we should be talking about. This is a real opportunity for the government, I reckon.
Well, but every time you put that to David Littleproud, and his answer is, I've got a $3.5 billion cheque here. It's here. State premiers, come get some. And he says, the states are not prepared to build a dam. Okay, so if they won't get out of the way, then, make it about you, get it done. It's why are we in paralysis? The worst thing we see, apart from the devastation and sadly now loss of life, is you see the satellite image of Australia and the oceans and seas around our country. There's this big patch of, dirty fresh water that could have been stored and used for, here's a crazy idea, find a way to get it to where we grow stuff so that we can always grow stuff. Food, pretty important. I agree with you. The government's got the money. Why are the states not playing game? Why aren't they building things? Why aren't they saying, quick, give us a quid, let's get this done? Bizarre.
And we're not asking them to put man on the moon here. We're asking them just to build, sound infrastructure, channels. Go to the Middle East. Honestly, Luke, go to the Middle East and you will see countries that are an absolute arid wasteland that have become incredibly productive for agriculture and horticulture because they've captured water in their arid climates and they've made the water work for them. This is the stuff we should be talking about. This is the stuff that people want us focused on.